took the school bus down to San Francisco to get food.
Mm-hmm.
So I got in the bus one morning, and I headed down the coast highway. I had an empty bus, and as soon as I got on the highway, there's a couple of people hitchhiking. So I said, "Come on in," And they sat down, I drive another 10 miles, more people, "Come on in." These people, it was like I had a bus service going to San Francisco, right? I'm driving along, and this guy is on the side of the road. He's got suitcases. Everybody else is hippies, and this guy's got suitcases, and he's dressed like a real person, and he's hitchhiking. "Come on in," whatever. And he brings his suitcases in. And sits down. And he's sitting behind me. And he starts to tell his story. That he had parachuted into the Trinity wilderness area. But then when he landed, with some stuff, with these bags of his suitcases, which were filled with books, and he parachuted into Trinity, and he broke his leg on landing in Trinity. And he had to fix his leg, and he had guns with him and stuff, and he had to shoot snakes and shoot animals to eat while he was trying to fix his broken leg, and had been there for months, and then walked out and carrying these suitcases, and and on and on and on. The story got more and more bizarre as he kept telling it. And then he starts telling me how before that he was a mini sub mariner in the Bay of Tonkin, torpedoing these things in these little two-man subs. Unbelievable details of everything, how it got stuck. The sub was under the water, hundreds of feet underwater, and it stopped working, and he had to fix it, while he was down there, and he had to rebuild the engine, and it was like, and exactly what parts there were. Everyone else was getting irritated that this guy was weird. He wasn't a hippie. He was weird. And all of a sudden I hear, BAM! And I felt this jolting in my thing, I didn't know what happened to the vehicle. Something drastic happened in the vehicle. I didn't know if I threw a rod or if a wheel fell off, it was just like, whoa, I stepped on the pedal and just stopped right on the side of this hill. And the guy behind me says, "You just broke the right rear axle." I said, "Excuse me?" He says, "That was the right rear axle going. And he starts to tell me the part number. You have a such and such, rear end with a blah, 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 and it has the so-and-so rear axle with the floating this and the that, What? I open the door, and all the other people get out, and they leave. All the hippies go out on the road, and they put their thumbs out. They're gone. Thanks. I'm there with this dead vehicle, and they just absolutely split. Within seconds, they were gone, And he stayed. He said, "Okay, I'll push the bus." He pushes the bus around, I'm trying to, and he pushes the bus, and we get it turned around, roll downhill, and get it off the highway, onto this little area, some street there. Usually, I always carried a complete set of automotive tools with me, in the bus. I had a beautiful set of tools, every wrench, and stuff. But I was going down to San Francisco. I have no way to lock the bus, I decided to leave him back home, and I took one adjustable wrench and a screwdriver with me, just in case. He says, "Do you have any tools?" I said, "I got an adjustable wrench and a screwdriver." He said, "No problem, that's good." And he goes at it. He takes this adjustable wrench and a screwdriver, tears the rear end apart, has the axle out, pulls the axle off, and there it is. It's broken in half. Exactly what he said. There's two pieces. We pull out the second broken piece of the axle. He says, there's a used truck axle place 70 miles from here. I said, "Really?" He says, "Yeah." He says, "We'll hitchhike there." He and I leave the bus there, and we hitchhike to this place. We're hitchhiking with a truck axle, trying to get somebody to pick us up with this big piece of metal, And we were hitchhiking. And we managed to get to this place, and the guy has these racks with axles, and every one of them is different. So we go through them all with our piece of truck axle. We're trying to line up the splines it has to have the same number of splines, and they have to be the same, and the axle has to be the same length, you know, and it has to have the same number of holes on for the bolts, and we go through them all. We can't find any. We finally find one that has all the right things, but the splines are a little narrower than the splines on ours. Right? The spaces between them. And he says, we'll make it do. We hitchhike back with our 2 axles. We get to the bus. We're just down from some little garage. It's not a gas station, it's just a garage. There's a guy with a garage there. We go and we talk to him. He says, they don't like hippies around here. You can't stay there. They're going to shoot you. You watch out, boy. Right? I got a truck with my thing in the back and the axle, you know. And so I'm like nervous now, you know, and it's getting dark and we're going to have this, you know. So we take the axle and we go to try to put it in the thing and it won't go in. Because the splines are too narrow. So I go to the guy in the garage and I say, look, I've got this problem. The splines won't fit in the thing. Do you have a file? Right? I'm going to make it, I'm going to recreate this axle, I'm going to carve it to fit the thing, you know. So he lends me this old piece of file, you know, and I sit there and I start filing, you know, to try to make it look like the other one. And finally, I keep fitting it in there and it goes a little further each time, you know, and getting there. He said, you got to move, boy, you got to get out of there, they're going to kill you. They're going to shoot you dead. I'm filing as fast as I can, you know, with this little piece of filing. You know? And I just keep doing this, and for hours I'm out there. And the thing was that this was, you know, several months after the guy who did the first skyjacking, D.B. Cooper. Mm. And I'm thinking, maybe that's who this is, right? I mean, his story is so bizarre, and he's telling me he jumped out of an airplane, you know, and landed in the forest, and it was in a similar place where D.B. Cooper had jumped. And I'm not asking him that one, you know? I don't want to know. We're working on the axle, you know, this guy is so weird. We're working on the axle, and so far everything he said has been right. So I have to assume that all this other crazy bullshit that he had been saying for hours may have been right too. So we're putting the axle, we get it, it's almost going in, and then we borrow a sledgehammer from there, banging this axle to try to get it, you know, squeeze it in, and it almost goes in. It's this far from going in, and now it's stuck there. I can't get it out anymore. It's not far enough in that it'll work, but all the oil will just pour out. You have to have a seal. This thing has to fit in there and fit against the other piece and bolt it in. And I couldn't get the last 1/4 of an inch. And the oil is dripping out the thing, and it's late at night now. It's by midnight. I'm still working on this thing, you know, by flashlight, trying to get it together. And I start the truck up, and I put it in gear, and I can't get it in gear. There's no clutch. The clutch is gone as well. The shock of the axle breaking went through and shattered the clutch. There's no more clutch. It must have just broken in pieces. Like this, I have no clutch. I have no way to change gears. I'm thinking, okay, it's possible to drive a vehicle with no clutch. By listening very carefully to the exact speed where the gears will synchronize and get them to hook in together, right? But the bigger the vehicle, the harder this is, you know. So I managed to get it moving. You have to get it somehow into the first, get it moving. So get it moving, and I get it into second gear, everything. I get it into gear, and we get up on the highway, and we just go. And we drove, and I couldn't change gears anymore, so I just drove 4th gear from Ukiah, not stopping. I couldn't stop, because if I stopped, I might not get started again. Through the night, and it was unfortunate, it was in the middle of the night, so there wasn't a lot of traffic. And I remember coming across the Golden Gate Bridge, not letting it stop, you know, just keep rolling and throwing my money at the guy and going crazy. It was absolutely crazy. And I managed to get it and drove it to the beach whatever that's called, North Beach or whatever, you know, where the seals are, Seal Island is, there's a big parking area there. And I pulled the truck and I was like, I'm in San Francisco, stop, I gotta go to sleep.